Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Chasing Meet Cutes podcast. I'm your host, Nicole.
And I'm your host, Trisha. We are talking about a classic today, another throwback.
1999.
Yeah, 1999 was the year for
Yeah,
some iconic
it was.
rom-coms. It really
So
was.
good.
But we're talking about She's All That. So I'm going to give you guys a quick summary of the movie before we dive into all the things because we have a lot of things to talk about.
Yes.
Okay, so She's All That follows Zack, the popular guy who bets he can turn Laney, the quirky art girl, into prom queen. Because what's high school without a little unnecessary drama? Cue the iconic makeover montage, a chaotic beach party, and a surprisingly sweet romance that proves love isn't about popularity. With plenty of 90s charm and Kiss Me playing in the background, it's a nostalgic gem that still makes us root for the underdog.
Yes, it does. It does.
Very true. Okay, but before we get into that,
Yeah.
we're going to do a little icebreaker question.
Okay.
So, literally,
What's the question?
okay, so today's question that we're going to be talking about is if you could swap two leads from different rom-coms, who would they be and why?
Ooh, and why? Okay.
Of course. You can just not
Swap
explain.
them and be like, yep, that's it. You don't get anything
Right.
else. Okay. I'm gonna swap. Okay. A Biltmore Christmas is Christopher Palaha and Bethany Joy Lenz.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna swap Bethany Joy Lenz for Jill Wagner because I love Jill Wagner. I love Jill and I love Chris together,
Of course.
but I love Bethany with him too.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna swap her to Jill's spot in Pearl in Paradise.
Also
with
starring
Chris.
Christopher Palaha.
So it's kind of a cop out.
If you can find
I don't
the
care.
common theme there, we love Christopher Palaha.
We
Chris,
do.
we love you.
We do. Shout out.
That's a good one. I feel like that's like a recent developed love for these actors.
Oh yes,
Like
yes,
within
yes.
the last year, we've really been
Within the last
6 months.
yeah, Christmas.
I have to think about this question because there's so many people that I could swap. And I was thinking what I thought would be interesting. It's not two different rom-coms, and it's not really a rom-com, but I just thought, okay, think Outer Banks in the same cast, okay? But switch John B. and Rafe's actors. Bloop. So you have Chase, whatever his name is, as Rafe, and that guy as John B.
Oh.
Like,
Okay.
that would
that's hard to come to terms
it's
with.
hard to imagine.
Only because we know the two characters.
Right.
And how they are, and that's Sarah's brother.
Right.
So it's hard to go there, but I can agree with the swap.
I think that would be
like it.
I think that would be like a really interesting watch. Like a fun play. Plus, I just think Rafe, okay, he obviously was horrible.
Yeah.
And one day we're gonna talk about Outer Banks.
One day.
But I think Rafe, why can't I remember the actor's name?
Oh, I don't know.
I forget.
I feel like it's something weird. Not weird, but
Like unique.
yeah.
Yeah. Probably.
I don't know.
But I feel like he's so hot in an understated way.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
he plays like a horrible person. And he doesn't really get hot until the last couple seasons.
Yeah. First season, it's meh.
Yeah. But anyways, that's
I
what
can
I would
agree.
do.
That's a good swap.
That's what I do. I mean, we talked about you could do a classic Cameron Diaz, Sandra Bullock swap in anything they've been in together. What Happens in Vegas. Seeing Sandra with Ashton and What Happens in Vegas.
That'd be so funny.
That would be funny. And then Cameron Diaz in The Proposal or something.
Yeah. Also a good swap.
Yeah.
That was a good question. I like that.
That was fun. Let us know what you guys would pick.
Yeah.
Who were you swapping out and why?
Yeah.
So
that would be fun.
Just
Let us know. Let us know.
Okay, let's talk She's All That.
Okay.
All right. So I already gave the little summary rundown, but what are we drinking tonight? Let's tell them what we're drinking.
Oh, we are drinking tart cherry juice.
Cheers.
Cheers.
It's going to help us sleep.
Yes.
Anti-inflammatory.
So good.
Great.
Okay, I'm Zack and Laney.
Zack and Laney. Laney Boggs, Zack
Yes.
Seiler. I love this movie with all my heart.
It's so cute. Here's another one, guys. I only saw it for the first time last year or something.
Not that long ago, yeah. Yeah.
And we just watched it again, but yeah.
You're welcome.
Another one I hadn't seen.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thanks.
No, I love Freddie Prinze Jr. Like,
He's such a cutie.
He is like a heartthrob.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. And you know what I love about this movie is that, like, it's clean.
Yeah.
There's one kiss in this movie between the two main characters.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, Taylor and we see other people
Sure.
kiss. It's not like we don't want to see kissing, but I'm just saying, like, we didn't have to get, like, graphic.
Yeah. There's no
intimate
real, like,
scenes,
all
like
these
every
hookups or anything like that. There's nothing like that.
I feel like every single thing we see on Netflix, like whether it's series and even like I'm talking like for high schoolers.
Yes. Yeah.
Like we're seeing so much of that. And I'm just like, it's not necessary.
It's not. I know.
And
We
here's
say
an
it all the time.
example. Here's an example of like it's so iconic. It's
It
so
can be
good.
great without that.
And you didn't need it.
Yeah.
Because we didn't need it.
Yeah. There was a couple other questionable things in this movie.
Oh, of course. Of course.
But yeah.
Okay, well, let's just set the scene here because we have Laney, who's obviously like the artist slash nerd slash misunderstood
Yeah.
girl.
Totally.
And then you have Zack, who is class president, jock, Mr. Popular, cute boy.
Yeah. Super cute.
Yeah. And the opening scene is like the first day back to school post spring break, which is like a big deal for high schoolers. Apparently they all like traveled. Some girls went to Spain. Some went to Daytona, which we don't understand.
Yeah,
why
we live
anyone...
in Florida and experienced spring break here for our whole lives. So it was like, I feel like nobody was like, I mean, maybe people went on cruises and stuff, but like, we just like
I had friends,
existed here
yeah,
during spring break.
But I remember when I was in high school and just growing up, my formative years in Ohio, it was definitely a thing. Like people were going to Florida specifically. Like I remember my friends would like come back with like hair wraps
and braids
and tans and all these things. And spring break in Florida is a big deal, obviously. So a group of them, including Zach's girlfriend, went to Daytona, and they come back, and he's kind of like, "Hey, what's up?" And she's giving him the cold shoulder, and basically breaks up with him right then and there.
Yeah,
and he's pissed.
Yeah, he is because she basically finds this guy Brock
Hudson,
who is like filming The Real World at the time, or was on The Real World previously, and
which that alone is so funny.
Crazy. Like, I loved The Real World. Anyway, she meets this guy Brock, and that's her new boyfriend, basically. She's like,
she lives for the attention, the status.
Yeah. Like, and she's
that's
like,
everything to her.
Oh, he's been on TV, great, sign me up. Yeah, he's
like the most obnoxious person ever.
Totally.
So cringy, so full of himself, the whole nine. So anyways, post breakup, Zach's just like, there's literally 2,000 girls in this school, and I could have like any. He's just on like a little ego, like trip.
Like, oh, she's gonna break up with me. Like, I could have any girl I want.
Exactly.
Like,
and so his friends kind of like, okay, prove it. Like, we get to pick the girl, and the bet is like they didn't think that he could get any girl to be voted prom queen after they date for like 6 weeks or something. So he takes this bet on, and
another bet, guys.
Dude, the bets.
Quit with the bets.
And this bet was very similar to the bet in 10 Things I Hate About You.
Yep.
There was no money involved, and it was a different terms, but still, this idea of like betting someone to make a girl fall in love. It's always the guys.
At the expense
like
of
men are just stupid. Boys, they're boys. None of them are men.
True. But it's at the expense of a real person, which is
right.
The horrible part.
And we will say that the friend that makes this bet,
R.I.P.
Yeah, is played by Paul Walker.
Paul Walker. Another
just a
R.I.P.
stud.
Yes, he was.
And total loss. Wow, both of those movies.
I know.
So anyways, Dean, who is played by Paul Walker, ends up seeing Laney fall up the stairs, drop all her art supplies, books, papers, everything. And he's like, that's the one.
That's the girl.
And at first, Zack is like,
heck no.
Please no. Like, I could do fat, I can do ugly, I can do blah, 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 but like, I can't pick, like, I don't even know what he said.
He said
like,
something like inaccessible or unavailable. I don't know. Something like that.
And like not from this planet or something like whatever. Like she's definitely like seen as like weird.
The weird, distant. Like kind of dweeb.
Mm-hmm. And she like the word dweeb just makes me think of like small.
And she's
so small.
Teeny tiny. And she looks so young in this movie.
Yeah, she really does. But so Zack is like starts his quest, and I thought that it was unfortunate to know from our point of view, or just like anyone's POV watching this, that it's obviously for the bet, but he pursues her. Like he tracks her down. Like he shows up at her work.
Right. He takes the advice of his sister, Mackenzie, who is like, okay, why don't you just like find out what she likes, what her interests are, that sort of thing. And he does that. He shows up at her work, and he is basically talking about art or something. Like
he has to make up kind of an excuse for why he wants to hang out, because she's obviously like
totally caught off guard.
Different playing fields here. Like, do you need a tutor or something? And he was like, no, I literally am like, have the 4th highest GPA in our class. Like,
like I don't need a tutor.
I need help with art because I'm doing this independent study. He knows she's into art. And she still kind of like brushes him off. Yeah. Like, okay, fine. Maybe sometime we can get together. Yeah. But her friend Jessie is sitting there like, hey, you should invite him to the show tonight at the Jester. The art installation show experience, whatever.
Whatever.
I don't even know what that thing was. That was.
It just reminded me of like a slam poetry night or like a
100%
interpretive dance, something or other.
Yeah.
But so he does end up going, and he performs this like hacky sack routine, which hacky sack was such like. That's so nostalgic.
Oh yeah.
And of course he's a soccer player, so
it was such a flex when like guys. I can remember like a circle of guys or something, just like passing it back and forth,
hacky sacking back and forth. Yeah, but like you can tell because she's just in the crowd after she's already done her performance or whatever. She's in the crowd and is like kind of like, oh snap, like. I didn't think he was going to be like good at this or willing to do this.
He was obviously put on the spot. Like they called him up as kind of, I think she was kind of like doing it as a way to put him on the spot and like catch him off guard almost. And when he didn't, he ended up like doing something like super deep, and like everybody was applauding, and even he was kind of like getting into it. And she was obviously surprised, but I think after the show, they're like walking outside together, and he tries to like compliment her by saying like asking about her glasses. Do you always wear those? Like, why don't you wear contacts? And then she's like, well, I just don't like them because blah blah blah. And he's like, well, because your eyes are like so beautiful. And she is just like,
I feel like she just like sees the red flag there, and it's not even a red flag, but she
just calls the BS. She sees it for what it is, which is like a total ploy for I don't know, attention, affection from girls, and she's like, that ain't
real.
That ain't real.
She's like totally put off by that, and literally just like storms off down the road.
She
And it's like, you can
does.
catch a ride home with Mitch, whoever that is.
He's like the shirtless guy?
Underwear
Or the
guy.
underwear guy?
I guess. He was in the show.
Yeah. But he still doesn't take no for an answer.
Yeah.
Which is like, again, we know it's a bet, but I just love that. I don't know. Like, I feel like if he really wasn't interested at all, like, he would be doing the least.
The
and, like,
least, yeah.
trying to just only save it for, like, in-school conversations or opportunities. But, like, no, he shows up at her house the next day.
Yeah. And not only that time, but, like, multiple times throughout the movie, he's showing up at her house. Just like, yeah, the pursuit, I feel like, is real.
Yeah. And she's kind of eventually having to give in to his demands, so to speak, of he's showing up, hey, you should come to the beach. And she's like, no, I don't want to. And he's just like,
he said, okay, I'll just stay here and hang out with your brother then.
Yeah.
So he's basically like, well, if we're not going to the beach, like, I'm going to be around you because I'm going to hang out with your brother and play video games. Right. So, but take your pick.
Her brother, Simon, is played by Kieran Culkin.
He's the best.
He's so funny in this movie.
Yeah.
And just so...
He's so great in general.
Yeah. I really love... I feel like we've talked about, or at least watched several things that he's been in as a kid lately.
Well, like he was in Father of the Bride.
Yeah.
He was so good in that.
So good. So he kind of just like also forms a connection with the brother. Like a genuinely
so
like just kind of taking him under his wing and like making him feel like a cool kid, because he's also very like unique and
he's very
silly
odd.
And his own little way. But so Laney decides to like go to the beach, and I think he's kind of gathering that Laney is busy. Like she makes herself busy and uses that as an excuse to like shut people out.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't want to be known.
Buried in her art, or like she has to help her dad constantly with the house because her mom died, or whatever it is with his pool business,
or just even like waking her brother up, making sure he's had breakfast, like all the things, like just so many responsibilities. And he's just kind of like, why don't you just have fun? Like, you don't have to just like always be doing something.
Yeah, like just slow down a little bit.
Yeah. And I think she also needed somebody to call that out, like not only draw it out from her to like have a good time, but also to say like, I see that you're just doing too much, like slow it down. It's not that deep. Like, go to the beach and play volleyball with some friends and enjoy it. And that's what they do. We see like his friends show up, which I like. I just hate this moment because it's like, as viewers, we know. Well, I don't know if everybody knew, but at least his two guy friends, like, they know the situation that's going on, and Laney has no idea about the bet, and it's just kind of like, you just feel bad.
Yeah, because you're just like, I don't know. It's kind of just grimy and like,
yeah, it just feels like a setup. Like you're just stringing someone along, and I don't know. It just feels like yucky and sad for her.
Yeah.
But Zach's definitely not hating his time with her.
No, that's why it's like, okay, yeah, he did take this bet, but it's like, to me, it's so obvious, like, that he very quickly figured out, like, oh, she's not really who we thought she was. Like, she's not this weirdo freak.
Yeah, she starts to surprise him a little bit, I think. Especially, like, even her willingness to play volleyball. Like, a couple of the other girls just wanted to, like, sit and, like, sunbathe.
Yeah.
And, which, by the way, Gabrielle Union's also in this. She was also in 10 Things I Hate About You as a friend. And I think, like, they assumed, like, the one girl assumed that Laney wouldn't want to play because she's just like the weird art girl, and she's like, I've seen you in gym class, like you throw like a girl, or you hit like a girl,
you run like a girl,
you run like a girl. And she's like, I am a girl. And she's like, yeah, I'll play, like I'll show you, like, yeah, I'll play. And so they just kind of like have a good time together. And when that day's over, they're all talking about this party that's happening at Preston's later that night.
House.
And they're like, you should come, or are you going to go? And she's like, no, I don't think so. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm busy. And of course.
I mean, she initially like says she can go. And then once they walk away, like then Zack is like, oh, so like tonight, and she's like, yeah, I don't think I can go actually. Like I have to clean the house. Like it's almost unlivable. I have
Right.
to help clean it.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
he's
yeah.
like, but you just said like you just said you were able to go.
Yeah, yeah.
So I loved that next moment though when
Oh, yeah.
he shows again. Again, he shows up to the
Shows
house.
up.
He brings the JV soccer team with him, and she's like, who are these people? Like, what's going on? And he's like, they're basically like they're gonna clean, and you're gonna get ready, so we can go to this party.
And like
And
any excuse she makes, he is
yeah,
right there
he's like, nope,
with a solution.
that's not good enough.
You got to clean? I'll bring the team.
Yeah,
You don't have something to wear? Here's a red dress.
yeah. And
You
here's
don't
my
know
sister.
and here's my sister who's going to help you get ready. Like, not really get ready. She's going to like transform you.
Yeah, full transformation. Here.
Yeah. And this, I just thought like even the moment between his sister and her up there getting ready, it's just like Mac is so chill.
Yeah, totally.
Like she doesn't care that Laney is who Laney is or that her brother is Mr. Popular. She's just Mac, and
yeah,
she's just genuinely nice and willing to help Laney get ready. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. So we obviously see this like major iconic moment.
My favorite thing that Max said was when she was like introducing Laney to come down. She said, introducing new but not improved, just different. So it was like she
That's good.
was like making a point to say like you weren't
Right.
like you didn't need improvement
Right.
necessarily. Like it's just like
a new look.
This is just a different look.
That's a great way. Because I was actually thinking like, I think if people didn't catch that moment, like me, I didn't catch that. You kind of had the thought of like, this is sweet that he's falling for her, but it's like it kind of took her to change everything about her appearance in order for that to happen. Even though that's not true, because they're spending time together and he's getting to know her and whatever.
Yeah.
But it kind of lends towards that mindset of like, well, sure, cut your hair, ditch the glasses, wear a tight dress and heels.
Yeah, put the makeup on.
Put some makeup on, and then he'll be like, whoa. But anyways.
I mean, he does have like a reaction to her. Like,
100%. And I'm not saying that that's wrong, but
yeah.
And I think that's what makes that moment iconic, because she is in a new look, but it's still the same Laney, because we hear Kiss Me by Sixpence None the Richer play, and she's just coming down the stairs so beautiful. Everyone's taken back.
Yeah.
Like her brother is, her dad is, and Zack definitely is like, oh shoot.
Like, oh, slap.
Like, I thought I was liking her, but now I'm like, yeah, I really do. I really do like her. But she's still Laney because she trips down the stairs and he has to like run and catch her.
Yeah.
Which I just thought was
so cute.
But yeah, just the classic little haircut. Haircut, no glasses, glow up.
Yeah.
That I feel like a lot of movies just have these like makeover scenes or makeover moments.
Yep. I mean, then I feel like, we see them at the party.
Yeah, this house party was like intense.
Crazy.
We were talking about how we would have never in our lives thought to have a house party.
No way.
At either of our parents'
And we both
house.
like, we were talking about it and we both stopped like immediately. We're like, we wouldn't even, my house was not even.
No. I mean, we were always there.
Yeah.
When your dad was home.
Yeah,
because
but
your dad was always home.
Never ever thought to throw a party. We wouldn't even think to like attempt to get away with that, or like even think like, oh, like the risk, is it worth the party? No, it wouldn't even cross our minds. There's just no way.
Nope. I said someone breathed on the pool table wrong.
Oh,
murder.
Yeah, unless you're my nephew now, because I guess you get
the rules change for grandkids.
The grandkids get away with everything.
No, we wouldn't have.
No way, Jose.
But yeah, this house party was insane. Obviously, Preston's family is very wealthy. It's a literal mansion.
Yeah.
and there's so many people, so much
They don't even know who they are.
No.
She's like, who are all these people?
Glasses
like,
breaking.
No idea. Yeah, no way.
I'm like, this just stresses me out.
Right?
Like, I don't look at that and be like, and I wasn't same in high school. I wouldn't look at that situation and be like, oh my gosh, like,
so
let's live it up. I would be like, are we going to get in trouble?
Yeah.
I would be so stressed the entire time.
Word.
But we do see that Taylor, the ex-girlfriend, is there with her obnoxious Brock of a boyfriend.
Wait, can we talk about how I told you he died?
Okay, guys.
The first time we watched this movie,
yeah, what was his real name? I'm looking. I
forget, but he like comes on the screen, and I was like,
it's Shaggy.
Shaggy. I was like, I can't believe he died or something
Matthew
like that.
Lillard.
And you like, she had this like moment of panic.
I whipped my head.
She was like, no.
I'm like,
and I'm like,
he died?
I was like, I'm pretty sure he died like recently. Like within the last year. Like,
yeah,
I was like,
you were sold.
I was sure.
Which again, we've referenced this before. You're not wrong a ton of times.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh my gosh, how did I miss that Shaggy died?
Yeah.
But
he did not die, you guys.
He's still alive and well.
And I'm so
55
sorry.
years old. Married.
I really don't know why I thought he died, but
yeah.
Anyway, I had to just plug that in there.
Yeah. Can we just talk about the fact that this man was 29 years old in this movie, playing what we can only imagine, like maybe young 20s.
I was going to say like a 21-year-old.
Yeah.
22, something like that.
But yeah, oh my gosh, so freaking funny.
So yeah, she's there with him.
And he is dancing, singing. I mean, he's just
wilding out.
Yeah, he is. And Taylor happens to also be wearing a red dress, which we're like,
that was purposeful for sure. On the wardrobe department.
Definitely comparison there. And Laney's just out of her element. Like, everything about this night is just like not her. But she's trying her best to not fit in, but just like enjoy herself as much as possible. And I don't know, she like wanders off into the bathroom and sees that girl who's clearly drunk and puking.
Very sick.
Toilet. And this is the girl, I think her name was Misty in the movie.
Yeah. Who
at the very beginning just like said horrible things.
That was the questionable part I was talking about.
Like, I'm sure it happens, but like, that's horrible.
Yeah, it definitely does.
She basically was telling her like, hey, like, so and so and I were just talking about how like so many artists like don't really get their glory until like after they die,
posthumously, or whatever.
Yeah. And she's like, so basically we were thinking that you should kill yourself.
Yeah, I just like couldn't even believe that.
I'm like,
that was said, but
crazy.
Horrible.
So that girl is drunk.
Yeah.
And literally
passed out. Like, she's blackout drunk.
Literally. And so Laney helps her fix her makeup and in turn paints the clown that she drew or painted in the first scene. And it was just like a little sweet little moment of revenge for her that didn't hurt anybody.
Yeah.
Just like a little, there you go.
Yep.
So she's kind of just like not vibing with this party at this point. She kind of looks like she's looking for Zack, and they make eye contact, but before they can get to each other, Taylor comes in and just says like horrid things. Like she tells her she's like vapor and a waste of skin or a waste of space or whatever. Literally. Yearbook space. Yeah, like, I wrote that down. How horrible. You're a waste of perfectly good yearbook space. You're not. And then she's like, as she's consistently like demeaning her, she's like, oh, you're not going to cry, are you? It's like, you deserve to be kicked in the shin. Yeah. Like, that's multiple times. Yeah, it is. And also, who freaking cares about the yearbook? I don't even have a yearbook from high school.
And Taylor's just a mess. She's just a mess in general.
She really is.
Like smoking cigs and.
I mean, you don't see this girl without a cig. She can't be more than 17.
Yeah, and I'm like, you are not cool. You are not cool, girl.
No.
Anyway.
So as Laney begins to cry, or was it before?
It was before.
She's like literally pours her drink all down Laney's dress. And of course, this sparks everybody at this party, or at least in the vicinity, to stop what they're doing and watch this moment go down. So it's total humilification. She was humilified, as we like to say. If you don't know, humilify is a combo of being humiliated and horrified. And it just works. So that's what happened. And Laney just like obviously does start crying, and she runs out, because who would want to stay in there in that moment?
No, that's embarrassing.
And well, Laney does say something that I thought was interesting. She's like, thank you. Like this is a reminder of why I don't come to places like this or
come around people like you. Yeah.
And that's when I think she said the thing about the yearbook space. Like, you're nothing, basically.
Yeah.
So she runs out, and of course, Zack goes after her like the perfectly good guy he is.
Yeah. And see, like, that's what one of the moments I feel like it's like, okay, this is not just a bet for him, because like, why would he need to really run after her in that moment to fulfill the bet?
Because listen, I think the moment of the bet, like, that's just not in his character. It wasn't even in his character to begin with, but because he let his ego get so bruised in that moment when Taylor dumped him, I think he was just kind of like, yeah, I'll do it, like, big and bad. But like, you can even tell he doesn't share the same integrity that Dean lacks.
Right.
Like, he has integrity. Dean has exemplified how he doesn't really care.
Right.
So if it was just the purely the bet, he'd have stayed at the party, high-fived his friends, and been like, gotta clean that situation up Monday, I guess. Like,
yeah.
But he doesn't, because he actually, like, sees how horrible of a moment that was. And he also cares for Laney.
Right.
And he just runs after her. And she's just like, she, of course, fell in her heels and is just laying on the ground crying. And just, like, such a sad girl moment.
Yeah. And she just, like, tells him she wants to go home. And and I thought it was sweet, because he just, like, wrapped her in his jacket. So cute. And he took her home.
He did. Yeah, and he did say one thing that I wrote down. He said, sometimes when you open up to people, you let the bad in with the good.
Yep.
Because she was just saying, you know, he's like, we had fun today.
Yeah.
Because she obviously ended on a horrible note, but he was trying to remind her, like, yes, this was horrible, and I'm so sorry. And he did apologize, but, like, don't let that overshadow all the good we had today and the fun you had today and how you just enjoyed yourself for a moment. So yeah, sometimes when you open up to people, you let the bad in with the good. But yeah, he takes her home, and then the next scene that I have written down is where we kind of see the locker room scene happen, where Dean, Paul Walker's character, starts kind of like just bro talk, like dirty trash talk about Laney, like just being derogatory and talking about like how he's gonna hit that and like whatever. And he kind of makes a comment like, hey, if you're not going to, like, let me have a piece of it.
Yeah.
And Zack just like was not having that. He just
couldn't
totally
keep his cool.
Oh no, he freaked out on him. He like went after him, and he's like, dude,
which, as he should, like, that's just so unnecessary.
You should be, I mean, I think at that point even Zack's like defending him because she's a woman. Like, you don't just talk about a girl like that who you don't have any connection with.
Right.
She's not interested in you in that way. It's like, I don't know. And then I thought it was interesting because Dean made a comment about like basically telling Zack like, what's wrong with you? I can tell, because he wasn't focused at practice or something. And he's like, oh, it's probably because like you haven't been laid in a while. Like a man needs to be laid. It helps his concentration and this and this and that. I'm like, well, if that ain't a lie from the devil, I don't know what
the devil is a liar.
The devil is a liar. And I'm like,
Yeah.
you're freaking 17 years
Literally.
old.
Like, what do you know? What do you know about anything?
You can't do life without having sex regularly.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Then you got some issues, my guy.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Anyway, Zack was not happy with that. And the next scene is Laney painting in her basement.
Yeah. So again, we see Zack go over to her house, and they do share. She's down in the basement painting, and it was like a portrait of her mom, who obviously passed. And they share a sweet moment down in the basement, and
a little heart to heart.
Yeah, he is asking about her mom, which is super sweet, and he's not like, I liked how he wasn't like skating around it and like making it awkward. Like he was genuinely asking, like, or saying like she was beautiful and like how did she die and all this.
In that moment when he complimented her being beautiful,
oh yeah,
we just see how like low Laney's self-esteem is in regards to her looks, but also I think just her general worth as a person.
Yeah,
because she said, when he said she was so beautiful, she's like, well, not everything is genetic or something like
hereditary,
that.
or
hereditary.
Yeah.
And it's like, girl, you're stunning.
I know.
Like, truly.
I know. But they kind of exchange words, because he's like telling her, you can't just like stay down here and have 19 locks on your door and and put these walls up and keep everybody out all the time. And then she kind of goes at him about his decision making and like, why can't you just make a decision
about college?
Yeah. And he kind of like explains to her like why he's like that, and because of his dad, and his dad went to Dartmouth, so his dad wants
he's got daddy issues.
him to go to the same college. And
although I thought like his reasoning was like kind of dramatic
about the photo.
Yeah, he's like, there's a photo of me at 3 years old wearing a Dartmouth sweatshirt. And even Laney's like, goes, okay, so, like okay.
What?
Like, obviously for him, that was just like, it even started as young. Like, it was always his dream and plan, which I don't think there's anything wrong for parents to be hopeful that maybe one day they'll go to their alma mater. But like, I don't know. My dad was never like, and you will go to Cedarville. Like,
yeah, and my dad didn't even go to college. So.
There you go. My mom didn't either.
Although my dad was like, you will be playing soccer in college.
My dad was like, you will go to college somewhere. That isn't up for debate.
That is a fact.
But we even kind of said in that moment, I feel like that was a major storyline or focus in like every show, whether it was animated or a movie or romance or comedy, whatever. It was like the idea that teenagers were so affected by what their parents' dreams were for them versus what their real dreams were. That was like, I thought that happened way more often. Yeah,
it's like where the parents are just like living vicariously through
like,
their kids.
You will be a scientist because I'm a scientist.
Yeah, I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, or like, my parents just want me to go to law school and I just want to be an artist. It's like, I don't know. But yeah, they do have that sweet moment, and they kind of have a moment where they almost kiss. And then she says like, you're not just doing this to get my vote for prom king, right? And it kind of like stops him in his tracks. And I think he just had a moment of like freaking out, like,
oh yeah,
a reminder of the bet, because like you said, I think he's forgotten about the bet up until this point.
Totally.
Because he's genuinely been connecting with her.
Yeah.
And she's kind of like, what's wrong? And he's like, I gotta go. She's like, well, should we talk about prom? And he's like, I gotta go. Like, I don't even know what he said.
I don't even remember, but yeah.
And she's like, you gotta go right now. Like, they were literally.
Yeah. I mean, she was like, eyes closed.
Centimeters away from a kiss. And I think that definitely hurt her. She's obviously,
of course it would,
and he's not thinking that way in his mind. He's just thinking like, I gotta go fix the situation before she finds out.
Yeah,
and I'm panicked.
Yeah,
and it's just a little sad, I think.
It is,
but yeah,
it is.
And she like obviously like ends up being nominated for prom queen, so then that starts her whole like campaign and Taylor's campaigning, and it's kind of like who's gonna win. And I thought the little scene where the guys are just like freestyle rapping about Laney, I thought that was like low key good. I'm like, that like hit the same way as like some of the Holes music, like ARMP to the T.
Yes. Oh my gosh, so good. Speaking of Holes, Preston was in Holes.
Preston was in Holes.
I always think of him in that role.
When was that?
Holes?
That had to be 2000.
2000, like.
Whoa, he must have been way old playing a young kid.
It had to have been
like that
like
year, 2000. It might have been like 2000.
No, I'm thinking of the book. I had to read the book in like 5th grade, which would have been 2001.
Let's see. I forgot that Preston was in it. No wonder he was also in what's that one where the guy Psych, that like, long running series. Anyways, Holes was 2003.
2003. That makes sense.
So, okay.
Sorry.
Zoom back in. That's okay. I think before we get to the whole bet of the moment, the conflict, we need to talk about...
We have to. I already know what you're going to say.
The cafeteria scene.
Yes, we have to talk about
for
that.
multiple reasons.
Yeah.
Simon is so cute.
I just love him so much.
Literally going around on his rollerblades saying fresh cracked pepper, and he's got the
giant
biggest pepper grinder.
Pepper. So funny.
Oh my goodness. And of course we see these like two bullies enter the scene.
Yeah.
And they're just making fun of him and being so stupid. And the one disgusting ginger of a bully digs in his own pants. He reminds me of Sid from Toy Story. Like, for real, though.
Yeah, that's him.
The real version. He digs in his pants and...
so just vile.
Pulls out a little hairs from down below. I'm not even going to say. The down under hairs, okay? And he puts it on the little personal pan pizza. And they're going to try to get Simon to eat it.
That's so disgusting.
What do you know? What do you know? Who walks in and sees all this going down?
I love that moment. Zach just walks in and he's like...
He just takes up for him.
Yeah, he does. And he stops it dead in its tracks. Mm-hmm. And not only that, he's like, this is what you were going to do to him? Nope. You're gonna eat that pizza.
Enjoy.
And you're going to do it now.
Yep.
And I just thought that was so cute.
It just... Again, I think at that point, he's also kind of connected with Simon. And he cares about him. He doesn't want to see... He's for the underdog.
Yeah.
Like, he's for the little guy. And I don't know. I just think there's got to be a part of him that also knows that he wants to show Laney, like, I'm here for you, but I'm also here for your family. Like, I got your little brother. Like, I'm not going to let him... He just commanded that whole situation with such confidence. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. It was just very cute. And they, like, make eye contact, him and Laney, afterwards. And then he, like... ends up walking away.
Yeah. I also really liked in that, like, I mean, Laney is not opposed to like sticking up for people or her brother for that matter. But I liked that she didn't have to in that moment.
Right.
Because
she always does.
Yeah. And like her reputation might be a tiny bit tarnished at this point. Like not tarnished, but like
and I think
just from the party and whatever, but like...
And also it goes a long way for Zack to be the one to do that. Mm-hmm. Not just for Laney, but like for Simon's confidence. Like,
oh yeah.
He just felt like big man on campus. And he's like, I'll take it from here, Zack.
Yep.
Like,
and he's like, anybody want to fight me now? Or
like
anybody want to mess with me now?
I just thought it was so sweet.
It was. It really was.
Again, it just like another moment where we see like his character shine. But we start to see the conflict unfold here when Dean shows up to Laney's work and asks her to prom.
Woof.
And she says yes, basically.
Which is so lame.
Like,
I mean, I get it, but not really.
I mean, Paul Walker is a fine piece.
Yeah. And she was still kind of like
she's kind of confused about... Yeah, she's at this point she's not really mad at Zack. I think she's just kind of like...
Yeah, because she even asked Jesse, she's like, am I kissable? Like, basically like, why didn't he kiss me? Like,
Like, what's wrong with me? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Again, her self-worth is minimal at this point.
Yeah.
But then we see the moment where the bet is revealed, and
I just
it's
hated
heartbreaking.
that. Yeah, because Dean just like...
Dean is the worst.
Because Zach is obviously like upset that he even asked her to prom in the first place.
Yeah.
And Dean's like, what? Like, I actually like this girl. Like, you have to stop with this bet stuff. Like, he just brought it up like out of the blue.
Ugh.
Like, and of course she hears it and is like, a bet? Like, am I just a freaking bet? Mm-hmm. And it kind of just blew up from there. Like,
yeah.
Dean really
the sad
did
part
Zach
too,
dirty.
Like when she was saying that, like, am I a bet? Am I an effing bet? Mm-hmm. And like all he could say was yes, because I think sure he could have like tried to dig himself out in that moment and be like, but it's like she was like, right. I think he had no other choice, knowing him and his integrity and his character. He had to be honest with her. As heartbreaking as it was for him to have to be honest, knowing that it was going to hurt her, like, he had to say yes. And so she obviously runs off, and Dean runs after her like he's some freaking hero.
So annoying. So annoying.
Gross.
Yeah. Even more annoying is like, she obviously is humilified in that moment and is like, I'm not going to prom.
Yeah.
So she's just home on prom night and, you know, in her little basement doing her thing.
She's angry.
Yeah.
Painting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And her dad comes down, gives her this whole speech and is like, oh, well, there's a cute boy or a handsome boy at the door for you.
Yeah. And we're all like, Zack? No, freaking Dean.
Stupid Dean. He just like is trying to act like the hero. And I'm like, bro.
And all he wants to do is get laid.
Exactly. And it's like, of all people, you think Laney is just going to like hook up with you?
No.
I don't know. It's so erg.
So we see prom night, okay? Dean is with Laney. Zack takes his sister, Mac.
Which I love.
Love that choice. He denies Taylor multiple times in her, like, attempts to get him to, like, come with her still. Mm-hmm. He's like, no, girl.
Sorry,
you on your own.
You suck.
And we just see, like, the classic, like, 90s movie prom scene. Mm-hmm. Like, there's a choreographed dance. Usher is, like, the school... I don't even know what. MC, like, radio personality.
Mm-hmm. I guess we saw... Where else did we see that? Where there was, like, the radio personality.
In a Cinderella story.
A Cinderella story.
Like, that's the announcer person.
Yeah.
Announcement person. I don't know.
And there's just happened to be Usher.
Usher, baby. So he's there. He's DJing the prom night. And just, you know, this dance breaks out. And everybody's just having a grand old time. Mm-hmm. And basically, fast forward, we find out that Dean is has this whole plan about he got a hotel room and his plan is to take Laney there and to sleep with her, and how he just like can't wait for that, and that's been his whole plan all along, and blah blah blah. And his boys like leave. He leaves the bathroom, and her bestie Jessie was in one of the stalls and like
overheard everything.
And he runs back to tell Mac because they kind of met that night and kind of just had a cutesy little friendship. We don't really see anything come of it, but yeah. So they're like, okay, we have to tell Zack that this whole plan is about to go down. Yeah, he's not going to be for that. And of course, when they announce prom king and queen, Zack wins and Taylor ends up winning. Mm-hmm. And during his speech of basically saying, like, who cares about popularity in high school and all this crap, they're running up trying to get his attention. Zack, Zack, Zack. And they finally do. And he, in all his shortness of breath, gets it out that Dean's taking Laney to somewhere. Yeah. A hotel. Room 409. Whatever.
Yeah. His reaction was just like so immediate. No hesitation whatsoever. Yeah. He completely just like hauled butt. Mm-hmm. try and figure out
driving all over town. He's
every hotel,
calling hotels after hotel. Yeah,
trying to find out if somebody named Dean is checked in. Do you even have a room 309 or whatever? It was 309, right?
I think
409, whatever. Do you even have this room number? Like, he's like serious about finding out where Dean is trying to take Laney.
Very serious.
Yeah.
And then we don't really see like what comes of that. Like we
Right.
see him driving all over Tarnation, and then we see
Laney gets home.
comes home. The dad's like, "How was it?" She's like, "It was fine." And he's like, "Well, why don't you come on in here?" And she goes in, and who's standing there?
Zach.
Zack.
Zach is there in the living room.
He's been there waiting for her.
I don't know. That was so cute. But the dad and Simon like go off to bed, and the dad's like, why don't you guys like go talk about it like out back on the patio? And so they do. They go outside, and he kind of just explains himself about the bet, and like, I don't know. That's really it.
He says like, I made the bet before I knew you, and really before I knew me, because like he also had a moment before prom where he kind of like tells his dad like, I'm not doing what you want me to do. I need to figure out my life for me, and I don't really know what that's going to be yet. And he's kind of like okay with that plan for himself.
Yeah,
like he's undecided, and that's an answer sometimes.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, they have that moment.
Yeah, and then Laney kind of asks like, okay, so like what's next? And I feel like maybe, I don't know, he could have interpreted her question wrong, because he's like, I'm thinking art school or whatever, and I'm like, which she could have meant that when she asked, but I'm like, I think she was more meaning like for them, like as their relationship, which is still an answer to that. But anyway,
right, because I think he obviously knows she's going to art school, so it's like,
right,
yeah, I'm gonna go wherever you're gonna be.
Yeah.
But he asks her for the last dance, and she basically was like, no, but you can have the first dance. And I'm just like, see,
so cute.
Dean didn't even freaking dance with her that night, because he's all doing
they were
doing.
dancing,
well,
but not like slow dancing or whatever,
right?
But yeah, that was very sweet. And then the dad just like turns on the lights on the patio, and it's like this whole little romantic backyard.
I just love that the dad, like, because she knows, like, ugh, dad turned them on, and she like kind of looks and sees him in the window and just like nods, and like, walks away, lets them have their moment. Yeah, and they obviously, he's saying something, and she was finally just like, shut up.
Yeah, just shut up.
And they kiss, and that's how.
Because he said like, he was thinking about performance art or whatever.
Oh yeah,
and he like was quoting one of the things from the whatever weirdo night that was.
Oh yeah, I forget what that phrase was. They kept repeating
something about be silent.
Oh yeah, be silent, be still.
Yeah,
be silent, be still. So they kiss, and then after the kiss, you know, we're like zooming away from them as if the credits are going to roll. And she's like, by the way, what was the bet? Like, what did you have to do if you lose? And we immediately cut to the graduation scene. They're calling all the students' names.
Yeah.
Everyone's in their caps and gowns except for Zack, who's literally naked except his
soccer ball
in front of his crotch area. And then we just see Laney like laughing and smiling, and she all of a sudden like catches the soccer ball. I just think that's so. It's 10 out of 10 movie.
It really is such a good movie.
I don't have any notes. Like, I truthfully wouldn't change a thing about that.
No, it's so good. Cute. There's just so many good little nuggets.
Yeah.
And sweet moments.
And we did see a little cameo by Sarah Michelle Gellar in the cafeteria.
I know.
Scene.
I thought that was so random.
Yeah. But not because they're together.
But it's like, yeah.
And I think she's just like, that was like her time frame too.
Yeah.
But, yeah, love the movie. And I just think, you know, a life lesson. Boys, just don't ever
do
make a
bets
bet
like
on a
that.
girl, okay? It's never gonna work out.
No.
Like, even if it works
Somebody
out,
always gets hurt.
Laney was hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And it just made it more complicated for you.
Yeah.
So you could have just, like, picked a girl and asked her out.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's the episode, guys. Let us know your favorite part about that movie. Don't forget to answer our icebreaker question about who you would swap in a rom-com.
Can't wait to hear all those.
Any last thoughts before we end?
I don't think so.
All right, guys.
Until next time.
See ya. Bye.